What's good, YouTube? I just finished watching this movie called Dance for Me. It was a BET movie, and it had I can't think of her name, but she was really pretty, and she puts you in the mind of Erica Ash in the face, and she also reminds me of this dancer. Her last name is Russell, and she's like all over TikTok and stuff. She dances with her son. I don't know what her first name is, but anyway. The movie's about a young lady named Isis. Isis is an exotic dancer who also sets up marks to be robbed and blackmailed for exorbitant amounts of money. She doesn't like to do it. She tells the owner of the club, I guess he's the owner of the club, that she does not want to do it any longer. She tells him that in the very beginning. And he tells her she gonna tell him no. She's the best dancer. She's the one who lures all the men in. So she gotta set these men up to, go back to their place. Excuse me, get filmed with all these exotic dancers around them so that they can be blackmailed and for the money. The guy who's like her pimp is played by Jeremy Meeks. And y'all know exactly who he is. Remember when Prison Bay was a thing? And he went viral for that smoldering mugshot photo, light skin tattoos. You might be familiar with some of his other work because he got a modeling contract after that mugshot went viral. And he served time, I think, maybe a little bit of time, and he got out and started working on that contract, and he got with some socialite type person and had kids with her. Plus, he's played in the movies. If I'm not, I know he played in the True to the Game movies, and he's also played in. I think he might have been in that Dutch movie as well. But needless to say, he plays the same character in every one of those movies, which is all three True to the Game movies. And if he was in Dutch, if I'm correct, he was in Dutch, that's 4. And then this movie here, that's 5. He plays basically the same thing, a felon. But anyway, I'm making this video about this movie because the way it ended, or something that happens at the end, I correct me if I'm wrong, or give me your opinions at the bottom. In what world does somebody who's in politics fall for an exotic dancer? He finds out what she does for a living by happenstance. She says she don't want to be judged for it. He said he doesn't. We see him go on maybe 1 or 2 dates. He meets her son. She introduces him to her dad. After he meets her son, maybe like a day or so after he meets her son. And after she introduces him to her dad, she sleeps with him. And I want to say this, the way they have the movie set up, it looks like all these things happen within a span of maybe a month. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to be judged, but you rush into sex with this guy. You don't want him to pigeonhole you or stereotype you by your profession, but you immediately go to sex. Then, at some point during the end, the guy, Jeremy Meeks' character, his name was Seth. He ends up getting caught by the cops. The cops have been investigating him. They know his MO. They know the kinds of things he's been doing. He forces the girl, Isis, that's her character name. He forces her to set up the politician she's been dating. And the reason he learned about the politician is because Isis thought she had a friend in one of the girls in the club. Whole time, girl in the club been plotting. She want to be the premier dancer. She want to be the one everybody looks for. And so she saddles up, or you know, up to Jerry Seth, and she tells Seth that Isis is dating somebody. In the middle of the movie, we learn that, I might as well say just spoiler alert, because it's a spoiler alert, because I'm telling the movie while I'm trying to get to the point of my question. But and at some point during the movie, we learned that, no, I know when we learned it. He forces her to set up the politician. And the politician is played by the guy who, now I wasn't a person who watched the Haves and the Have-Nots, but I know this guy played on it. He played the crazy lady Veronica, I think that was her name. He played her son. He played the politician in this movie. So anyway, as I was saying, they had this guy that was a CEO that they was trying to extort. When they sent him video and photo of him in his house with those strippers, he committed suicide. So now they couldn't get the money. Seth owed some big wig guy. Seth had a drug problem too, and a gambling problem. So he owed a whole lot of money for whatever reason to somebody. Because they lost that mark, he wants the girl that wants Ice's spot. Like I said, she saunters and up to Seth, and she lets Seth know who Isis is dating. And I knew it was her, even though they didn't show her face at the time. She had a hood on, and we just saw hair hanging out of a hood from the back. I knew it was her, because she was the only one that Isis told that she was dating that guy, right? So anyway, he go to the park with his right hand man. The right hand man is his cousin. Whole time I'm looking at right hand man from the very beginning of the movie. I'm looking like, you not straight. It's giving Alphabet Club, even in real life, not even just with this character, in real life, Alphabet Club, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. I'm just making my observations as I'm watching, right? So so Isis is on a date with the politician, right? I can't think of what his name was in the movie. She on a date with him, and I think they at the park with her son. He said, I know he not over there with my baby mama. I said, wait. Whole time, the Seth character is the baby father to Isis, right? Isis has a parent. Her parents was in a car accident. The mother died. The father survived, but this father is basically bedridden. She has to take care of the father. So they had mountain bills and stuff like that. And they was about to lose their house. The loan officer seen her dancing at the club and was like, I know you on hard times and everything, but I can fix the loan for I can fix your mortgage loan for you for something more affordable if you sleep with me. She confides in Seth that this man did this. So he tells her, yeah, do it. Whole time he gonna bust in the room and do something to the guy. So she thought that he was gonna bust in his skin, but what he did was bust in and shoot the guy in the head. And after it was over, he was so hot, doped up, and with the adrenaline rush, and doped up on dope, for real. It gave him a high, and I took it as the way they filmed this scene and showed her with her blank face, I took it as it wasn't a consensual thing. She was stuck with the fact that he actually killed the loan officer. And I feel like he raped her. I don't think that was a consensual sex act. She ends up pregnant by the Seth guy, right? So that's how the son came to be. They never, to me, it seemed like they never really had a relationship. I feel like she was one of his marks the whole time. Like he was figuring out a way to use her. So they had a son together. So he jealous of the fact that she got this other guy she dating, but he also need a mark for the money, right? Because he owed these people this money. So they decide that he gonna be the mark. So when he goes to ISIS and says that the guy gonna be the mark, she say no. She say no. They in the dressing room at the club. He orders everybody out of the dressing room with her still in there. And I think this other man that came in was somebody that worked there as a bouncer or something. But he was like, you can't be doing this. So Seth turns around and beats him with the gun and wipes the blood on her face. Scares her. She disappears, don't go back to the club. She go home. She still don't want to make the guy the mark. When she go home, she gets to her father's room to check on her dad. Seth is in there in the chair waiting with the gun. Puts the gun, the father says, hey, get off her. Like he can yell out and say certain things. He puts the gun to the father and said, I will kill you. There's no way you could protect her in this bed. And he's like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna kill your father. So of course, she gonna do what she gotta do to protect her dad, so we think. So she takes this little camera, it looked like a little box like this big. But the front of it looked like the old school uh not a point and shoot. A old school camera, like the good ones with the long range and all that. The zoom and all that. What is it called? Like a DLSR or something like that. One of them type of cameras. But it's like I said, it's real small. Like this little box right here. That's how big it is. She puts that down. First, she blindfolds the guy. And she blindfolds him, push him back on the bed, set the camera up, sleep with him. Whole time she crying. He don't know what's going on. He can't see her face. Because like I said, he's blindfolded. But she on top of him doing her thing. She leaves out. After he falls asleep, she gets up. She picks up the camera. Because we're led to believe that they do what they do and he immediately falls asleep without ever taking the blindfold off and seeing that camera. So she takes the camera, picks it up, put her coat on, leave out. The baby father waiting outside, Seth. She gives him the camera and say, this is it, I ain't doing nothing else for you. Next thing you know, Seth pulls up on him at his campaign headquarters. Say, you should take a walk with me. He was like, for what? He was like, cause I know you messing with my baby mother. So that intrigues him. He walks. He shows him the video that they made, and he was like, "How did you get her to make this video? Like, what the fuck? Like, when did this and all that?" So, he was like, "You gonna give me a third of your campaign funds, and that's come to about $3.3 million, and make a way to give it to me." He was like, "If I do that, I'm gonna go to jail." He was like, "That ain't my problem. Whatever, whatever." So he goes to her, the politician, goes to ISIS. Like, what the? I was just a mark the whole time. You know the whole spiel. So she crying. He like, I don't ever want to see you again. Like, after this, I'm going to give him his money. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to give him the money. But I don't ever want to see you again. And so that's when she comes clean to him and tells him the whole story. And that's when we find out that, you know, the whole thing with our parents when they had the accident. Seth was dead. She thought he was a really good friend. He set her up. What he did that night after he shot the mortgage officer or the mortgage broker / loan officer. When he shot him, he made her put her hand and her prints on the gun, and he used that to hold over her head. And after they did that one time with that guy, that's when he came up with the idea to shoot. I mean, to rob and extort people and stuff. And he was using her to do that, and that's how he was getting her to do it, because he always had that gun. He kept threatening her with, "I'm gonna go to the police and tell them it was you who killed him." The mortgage officer, I mean, the loan officer, mortgage broker slash loan officer. The man name was Samuel something. And she said, she told him the effed up thing was the next day after they killed him, they found out that he did really put in the paperwork to get, so she wouldn't have any trouble and the mortgage would go down and all that. She'd be able to afford it. Like, he fixed it for her before she even came to meet up to do the deed to get what he promised her. He had already fixed it, but Seth killed him. And so she says he killed him. He made me put my fingerprints on the gun. And she told him how they had the son. And, how the son, she said, and then what's worse is a month after he died, after that happened, that's when I found out I was pregnant by him. Or whatever. And so basically, he been using her all these years to set people up for extortion and stuff. And the politician guy's like looking at her. And we see him leave. Seth right hand man, he's like, why are you gonna do this to her? Like, I can't believe you gonna do this to her. We family, cause he look at her like family. Like, you my cousin, you been there for me, even though you been treating me bad lately as well. And Seth had, the drugs was driving him mad, crazy, insane. Because he was thinking everybody was out to get him, setting them up and doing things that they were not doing or whatever. He looked at things in a different way because his mind is warped. So the cousin was just like, she family, like, you gonna do this to her? And he was like, yep. If she don't do this, I'm gonna, give them the gun, and I'll be taking care of my son or whatever. ISIS goes to the, I forgot where she went. I know when she went to explain, she had went to the politician to explain something to him at this point. And when she came home, her dad was on the bed, transitioned. He was gone when she came back. She cried. She called the caretaker. She had made up in her mind that she was just going to go ahead and tell the truth. She was going to go to the police station and tell the truth and tell them that that he shot the guy, but her fingerprints was on the gun. She was going to go tell the truth at this point. So she asked the caretaker, she told her, "You're the only person I would trust with anything. So I need you to watch my son for me." So the lady was like, "Sure, how long you need me to watch him for?" She was like, "That's the thing. I don't know. It's something I need to take care of. And I just don't know. It could be years." And the caretaker was like, "You know what? Your parents are both proud of you. I'm sorry your pops is gone. But I know you handling things after your mom died and all the stuff that came with that, with your dad being in the situation he was in. It was not easy. So I know you was out there doing whatever you needed to do to make it. So I don't judge you. But you just go ahead and do what you got to do so you can come back to that baby." The little boy looked like he was about a good 5, probably like 5, 6, because he was school age, because she used to get him up for school in the mornings. We see her leave. The first place she goes to is Seth's place. When she get there, his second in command, the cousin, is there. And she like, "Where you going?" He packing up. He like, "I'm leaving." He said, "You know what? I want to thank you because I'm not down with none of the stuff that Seth is doing. He been spiraling lately." He said, "But I want to thank you for always treating me like family. You know, my cousin Seth and his brother treated me like brothers growing up, like I was one of them. And he got his ways about him, but they pulled me in like I was, like one of their kids or whatever, or one of their brothers, even though I was just a cousin. And, I always got his back for that, but I feel like what he doing to you is wrong. But I want to thank you for being the friend that you was to me and keeping my secret, holding my truth. And she said, that's nothing. That's how it's supposed to be. We was family, remember? He like, yeah, cool. And she said, well, where you going? Like, where you going to disappear to? And he was like, I'm going. I met this guy, and it's not been that long, but I'm going to go be with him and get away from Seth and all this craziness. So she was just like, all right. He said, but before I go, I gotta do this. So he goes and he gets her the gun that her fingerprints are on. He said, I should have gave you this a long time ago and not let him hold this over your head all this time. But here you go. While they doing that, you hear somebody come in like, Seth, babe, where you at? I got your favorite outfit on. What you like me to wear? And all this and that. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's the girl that was supposed to be her best friend at the club. People do not be your friends. That's the lesson right there in itself. She like, wait, hold up, bitch. She said, you the one who told him about my new dude, whatever the guy name was, and y'all set him up. She was like, it's always about getting the mark or something to that effect, she said. She banged her in the face. Her and the cousin got out of there. The cousin went on where he was going. We see the politician and his old bank. Honestly, it looked like the same bank from the movie Set It Off. It looked like the big bank that Blair Underwood worked at on the movie Set It Off. So they in there. Seth shows himself on the step. He tells the politician guy. The politician guy like, I got your money. Here it is. So he like, you think you gonna walk off in the sunset with my baby mother, something, something? Because the guy was like, here, take this money and leave us alone. We're going to be together. I said, oh, you still going to be with her? Oh, all right. And he was like, they got to fighting and everything. Then ISIS popped out of nowhere. Seth was going to shoot the guy. ISIS popped out of nowhere. She put her gun on Seth and said, he said, oh, you God. It's something about, her having that gun. And it was like, they said their things, and he was saying this place was the lowest of lows because this way he saw his parents were bank robbers, I'm guessing, and he saw his father have a shootout with the police, and his mother died in there, or some craziness. But anyway, what ended up happening is she shoots at Seth, and then Seth punches the politician. They get to fighting. He gets up. She grabs, Seth hits her and knocks her down. She grabs, all of a sudden, they was like on the landing of a staircase. All of a sudden, it just so happened to be a 2x4 right there on the stairwell in the middle of the bank, supposed to be bank. And you see her swing it and hit Seth and knock him over the railing. He falls down to a desk below. And at this moment, the detective, and some police backup bust into the bank because he somehow knows that they inside this bank. I'm guessing she told him that that's where they was. Once the cousin told her where they was meeting up at, because he told her that Seth was meeting up with the politician guy to get the money that he was extorting from him. So they tell him he arrested, and Seth looking at her like, I can't believe you did this to me. Next thing you know, we see her father's funeral, and they standing there. It's a gravesite funeral. She's standing up with the politician guy standing next to her. You see the cop in the distance. He come walking towards. She walks towards him. The funeral is over. She walks toward the cop, and he tells her that thanks to her tip and everything, his DA worked it out where if she testifies against Seth, all the charges against her will be dropped because they caught him for all this extortion stuff. Like she gave them all of that information for all the people they extorted and all the shit he been doing. So she said, "Cool, thank you so much. I didn't think that something like that could work out for me." And then we see her at the campaign headquarters, and the politician guy won his won his race, won the election. It looks like they hold hands up together at the end, and I'm thinking to myself, and this is the whole reason I'm sat here gave y'all blow by blow of this daggone movie, because this is my question. In my mind, when I heard that she made a deal with the DA, in my mind, I said, "Oh, so you being a CI? So if you being a CI, what CI gets to go on record as that, and still gets to be the significant other of a politician and get to be out there on Front Street like that?" I thought that you're supposed to keep a low profile if you do some shit like that, like being an informant or testifying and things. You ain't supposed to be out there all in the public like that. Like if she gonna be with this politician, like with politicians, a lot of their stuff be open to the public. Like they be having some secrets and some shit they did that be hidden, but eventually somebody gonna want to pay out to keep their mouth shut, or your shit gonna be out there, which would include your significant other's past as an informant or testifying in a big case against somebody else, right? Am I wrong? Am I thinking of it wrong? You know what? Because you know what it's got me thinking about? Power. I be watching so much Power, and the whole thing about CIs and keeping it confidential, and these people keeping a low profile. Once they become an informant and all that kind of stuff. Watching all those shows is like, I mean, plus to me that seems common sense. Who is a CI and out here in the public talking all loud and having like being super visible to the public? You know what I mean? So what y'all think? I mean, am I right? Am I thinking right or am I thinking wrong? I just want to know. I just want y'all to tell me. Look what I did with this rubber band. Yeah, I just want y'all to tell me. Am I thinking right or am I thinking wrong? If y'all made it to the end of this video, I really didn't mean for it to be no 30-minute video. I thought it was going to be 10 minutes at the max. But I got to telling the whole damn story. I'm so long-winded. Jesus. Alright, y'all. Tell me what y'all think down in the comments if y'all made it this far in.